Okay, I just want to begin by just apologizing for the horrible sound that you'll hear during this intro. We had our gigantic stream over on Twitch on the weekend, rearranged the entire studio, and honestly, I cannot find my lapel mics for the life of me. They're somewhere, but I've spent the last 40 minutes looking for them, and I cannot waste any more time today doing it. Very annoyed by this, but we shall move on. There's also a printer going on in the background, so if there is just a bit of ambient noise, just pretend it's not there. Just hear, you know, leaves rustling and birds tweeting, and forget all the horrible sounds for the rest of the audio. Okay, cool. Okay, so in this video, we are once again down the road of the awesome Trench Crusade miniatures, delving into them, exploring them, and having a bit of fun painting them up using the Green Stuff World range of paints. They sent me out a whole heap of their paints, and I've been practicing and using them for a couple of weeks now, and I'm using Trench Crusade miniatures to do it. Today's video, I thought I would focus on the Sin Eater. I think has become the most iconic miniature for Trench Crusade, which means I get to play around with a lot of Green Stuff World's metallic paints and see how they are. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. Should be a fun one. Before we get into it, just a huge thank you for everyone who supports the channel, whether it's by watching the videos, liking, commenting, or making sure that you're subscribed. Those three things are super important. Cost you nothing, but they mean a huge amount to how many people see these videos and how quickly the channel grows. So please just continue to do that. Also, all those awesome mega supporters over on Patreon who help keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. For you guys, as always, there's a whole host of benefits, such as private Discord server, access to painting competitions, challenges, extra videos every single week, podcasts, and of course our monthly giveaways. Last month we gave away a knight. This month we're giving away a beautiful Star Trek Dark Elder army with the real Space Raiders battle force thing. So if you want to be on a chance of winning this, please do check out Patreon, linked below. Be a member at any tier, except free obviously, enters you on the chance to win this. Shipped worldwide, so don't worry about that. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and have a look at this awesome Trench Crusade model. So this is the Sin Eater model. Obviously, it is an iconic piece now for Trench Crusade. I don't know whether Trench Crusade and the guys who designed it intended this model to be so, I don't know. I think it's basically the poster boy, the Ultramarines of Trench Crusade. Everybody knows it, everybody likes it, and it's really cool. Obviously, I am playing around with the Green Stuff World metal colors. The one I went for the base coat was a dark bronze color called Dark Bronze, funnily enough. And basically what I did was I used this to base coat all of the kind of flat paneled armor sections of this Sin Eater. Quite a simple task to do. I didn't actually go from a wet palette or anything like this. I just went from a well on a normal palette and applied this. One thing to note about Green Stuff World paints that I found over the course of using them is sometimes they can appear as though they're going on quite thickly. And when you're working with them, sometimes the consistency is almost like a contrast. It flows really fast off your brush. It can go into the reset. You need to like take care when applying with. Once you figure that out, you can put these kind of almost like blotchy coats on. And once it dries, it goes super smooth and it goes super thin and super solid. And then you can just build up your color from it. So it's definitely an awesome feature. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, but I think it's a good skill to learn. And once you do figure it out, I think the paints behave themselves a little bit more. Obviously, I've gone up to the next color of bronze here to make it quite bright. Now, I know it's quite a stark jump from that kind of bottom coats to this, what should be probably be the last highlight. But basically, I've also been playing around with the idea of their inks. I do this thing with the skin, which I will show you later, which I love to death. So I'm going to do it with the metallics as well, where I throw an ink wash in now, and then I go back to the previous layer to highlight after the shade dries, and it seems to work really, really well. So for this one, I decided to go for a purple shade. I had a bit of a think whilst I was doing this to try and decide what color I was going to choose. Obviously, this thing is all about gluttony, which makes me think a little bit of Slanesh, that kind of style, that kind of vibe. So maybe a bit of a purple hue will look good. Purple over bronze and gold tones look fantastic anyway. So I just thought it was a fun excuse to use the purple ink that I haven't played around with before and see how it looks. It dries super matte. It gave me a really cool coat and a really cool effect. And like I said, going back to the Gladius bronze for the highlight again, obviously I'm being a little bit more cautious and a little bit more controlled with this highlight. Really just focusing on sections of the model that the light will hit, or where you personally feel like too much of that ink has dried and you don't want it to be quite as purple. You can play around with and make sure you kind of get the effect you want. But so far, I'm very much enjoying this. I have 2 more videos lined up with the Green Stuff World for next month, and they're kind of exciting because they're brand new products that I will be playing around with, new paints on the market from them. And I can't wait to bring them to you guys and show you what they've been working on. I'm excited to try them out myself. Okay, some dark silver paint for the chainmail. Coyote brown I used for base coating all of the skulls and bones, which there's quite a lot of on his like loincloth bit. And then obviously he's got this horrible, grotesque scene stretched across his back, which I think is his lunch. You gotta remember, the idea behind sin eaters is not that they eat your sin, kind of. They eat sinners. So they find souls that are very much tainted by sin, and they like devouring those people. So sin eaters are grim as all hell. So stay away from on the battlefield if you've been a bad boy, because he's going to come for you and you're going to be lunch, like this poor unfortunate fellow, which is kind of stretched across his back with his intestines holding him up on his cape. So yeah. Some stallion black was then used to block in his cape. I was going to go for a red or a color, but I decided I wanted the metallics and that armor to be the focal point. And if I went for like a bright red or something, or even a purple to match the armor, I think it would have taken too much attention away. I didn't want that. So I focused on the black. I'm going to layer it with a little bit of dark gray later on, but really I want this particular detail of the model to blend into the background. Blushing flesh was used to base coat in the skin, and then sangria red is this really nice kind of pinky red. I decided to use that as a base coat for all of the intestines and all those horrible bits spilling out from this unfortunate fellow on his back. After this, it's time for a pecantum. I still don't know how to say that word, but it's the wash I usually reserve for just the skin tones when I'm playing around with them. But I decided that these are not like, you know, Predator trophy bones. They're not going to be polished. I reckon they're going to be pretty red and pretty stained and pretty gross. So I thought the red fleshy wash would actually look really good over the bone. We're still going to highlight it later on and make those edges sparkle, but I want the deepest shadows of the bone to be a horrible red tone, like they're super fresh. And he's just like gnawed the flesh off the bone a couple of hours ago or a couple of days ago, and it's still going to be pretty grim. Okay, once that shade was fully dried, I go back to blushing flesh. This is that trick I learned, well, for myself. I just kind of figured it out. Blushing flesh, and then I went into that pecatum shade, whatever the flesh shade is, which I really like. Darkened it down enough that I could go back to blushing shade as the mid-tone, and then I just go up into a nice like elven flesh for the highlight. And I must say I really, really do enjoy the tone of skin that I'm getting from this. I've started to transfer it to a bunch of other stuff as well, like my Marnius Calgar that I did for Games Workshop a few weeks ago. This is the skin tone used on him as well. So really, really enjoying that, and I will continue to use these skin tones for quite a long time. Okay, I got that sangria red and I got some nuclear white, and I basically did a 50-50 mix first, and that was the first highlight on the intestines kind of stuff. And then I just added another kind of 25% of white in and did that as a final highlight in those sections, and that's it. Deck Gray and Fang White, these aren't mixed together. This is a mid-tone and a highlight, and this is what I used for all of those bone sections. And you can see, even when I go in with that first highlight, it's a fine pointed brush, and I'm just aiming for kind of the higher points of it. I want to leave, like I said, that deck tan with the flesh red wash over it in those recesses. I don't want to like have it be this big kind of glob of bone. I want it to be kind of, basically, if you leave the recesses really dark, it separates all the different skulls and different bones from each other. And I think it looks a little bit better, a little bit more natural. And this is me going in with that white now, sorry, the fang, to highlight the bone. That gave me this really nice result on all those kind of skull sections. A bit of black root gray was used as the last step, second last step actually. We did one very important step with the Sin Eater. But I just used this like dark gray to throw a very quick highlight across all of those robes. Was this the right color, the right tone for the cloak? I was a bit nervous about it, but after I kind of completed it across the entire miniature, I was happy enough. And then unfortunately, I don't have any of the technical paints from Green Stuff World. I don't actually know if they have technical paints, but I don't have any of their blood effect or anything like that. So I had to revert to the Games Workshop Blood for the Blood God for this. And obviously spilling down the Sin Eater and all over his like
chest and stuff is going to be some blood. His big mashing cleaver that he carries around, blood. And then obviously all the stumps and intestines and stuff got some blood on as well. And with that, we have finished off this Sin Eater miniature with the Green Stuff World paints. Yeah, really happy with the result. Hope you guys are enjoying the Trench Crusade series and are looking forward to seeing more of the videos in the very near future. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. I'll see you in the next one.